This is Visitor's Book, and I'm Maija, your host. In this program, we're going to be meeting with diplomats and foreigners who are here in Pakistan, and we're going to find out what they really think about the country. So let's go. Our guest today is Matthias Timpe, the son of a German diplomat. This is his 6th time visiting Pakistan, so let's go find out what he thinks about the country. Hi, Matthias.
Hello.
Hi, nice to see you here.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
What is this?
So I ordered some tea for us.
Oh, great. So you're not a coffee person?
No, I'm not at all.
No?
No. So back in Germany, where I work, everybody's a coffee person.
Yeah.
And they drink a lot of coffee. Huh. But I guess I'm the only one who does not.
Yeah.
So I drink tea quite every now and then.
Do you like chai, the Pakistani, like the doodh patti?
Yeah, I've tried it, and one specialty, I think the Kashmiri tea.
Oh yeah, that's delicious.
It's very delicious. So whenever I go to the city, they offer it to me. I love it.
Great. Yeah. All right. So this is already your 6th visit to Pakistan, is that right?
Exactly. So since 2017, I come here frequently.
Yeah.
I visit at least twice a year. This year, actually, it's my 3rd visit.
Wow.
And this is my 6th visit, yeah.
Excellent. And your father is a German diplomat. That's why you keep coming back here.
Exactly. So my dad works in the embassy, and my mom works in a school in Rawalpindi.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting. Because I heard like a lot of diplomat spouses, they don't actually work, but your mom is working.
She works because she wants to keep herself busy. Yeah. And she only works twice a week. So yeah, that's fine. And so it's very interesting for her because she keeps herself busy, but also she teaches German to Pakistani girls.
Wow.
So that's very good.
Just girls?
Yeah, it's a school for girls.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Why do they want to learn German?
Some because they maybe want to study in Germany, for example. Yeah. And if you want to study in Germany, you have to have a certain level of German. You also have to have it certified. And others just for fun, I guess. So I heard of some who just want to learn German because it's interesting.
Yeah, great. And so how long has your dad been posted here?
So they moved to Pakistan in 2017. So now it's 2.5 years already.
Yeah.
And he works in the embassy now for 1.5 years already.
Oh, okay. And do you have siblings?
I do. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. And usually we all come here together. Yeah. They were actually here since December, and they left 1 week ago. So yeah, now I'm the last man standing, and yeah.
And you're a student in Germany. What do you study there?
Yeah, so I do this program called dual studies. So I work full time, but I also study on the weekends. Okay. And it's quite busy for me because my schedule is always full. So basically, my week starts Monday in the morning in the office, and I work until Friday evening. And then on Friday evening, I sit in university, and I sit there for 3 hours for tuition. And even on Saturdays, I sit in tuitions. Most of my friends, they study without working. They just have their tuitions, and that's it. So they have to learn and everything. But I have to work, learn, and visit the tuitions. Yeah. So it's quite hard to fit all this in my schedule. And also, as I said, so my vacation, my holiday is always here in Pakistan.
Here in Pakistan. What do your friends think about that you're always flying to Pakistan of all countries?
At first, at the times when I didn't even know myself how Pakistan is like, everybody was, let's say, a little worried because in the international press or media, it's always quite hard what people say about Pakistan. Yeah. So yeah, then when I came here, I told my friends about it, and I'm still trying to convince all of them just to come here. So really? Until now they did not say yes. But for example, my best friend, he's on the verge of almost saying yes. So just some more influencing him, and then he will also come here.
So obviously, then I would guess that your experience has been quite good here.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah. So I've seen a lot. First of all, it's a different culture. You have to see that. But for me, it's too interesting just to get the chance to see this culture. I mean, back in the days, I never thought about just going here because I didn't even see a lot of Germany. Yeah. Exactly. So I thought maybe just see the country you come from first, and then you can spread out to the world and see something of it. But since now my dad has this posting, basically I had to go here, and it was a good shot. So when the first time I came here was in August 2017, so it was in the hot months.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it was hot, it was humid, and for me it was very hard because the German weather is always rather, let's say, low tempered, so rather cold, and then you experience the 45, even some days 50 degrees plus around 100% humidity. For me as a German, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I got used to it, and so I just took my own perspective. I just wanted to see how life is here, how my parents live here, obviously, and now I learned to like it a lot.
Great. So growing up wasn't exactly a normal childhood for you, because your father was a diplomat and moving all over the world. Where did you actually grow up?
Basically, we started our journey in northern Germany, close to Hamburg.
Yeah.
And as I turned 5 years old, my parents had his first, they had their first posting in Italy, Naples. Yeah. I mean, I was 5, but still, it was a lovely time. So it was great, and Italy is still one of my favorite countries.
Yeah.
And we spent 3 years there, and then we moved back to Germany. We spent 3 years in Germany.
Okay.
And after 3 years in Germany, we moved to Syria. And after spending almost 3 years in Syria, we moved back to Germany. So this is the normal journey of diplomats. At least in Germany, it's always this 3-year, maybe 4-year change, and it has advantages and disadvantages as well. So you get to see the world. You get to see very, very exotic places. So Syria is, if I would have asked my friends in Germany, some of them didn't even know the name of the country, Syria. Yeah. So that was quite hard at first, but just to get this experience and to meet different cultures, that's too interesting, and for me it's perfect. But you lose some friends, you make some contacts, and then since they know you move after 2 years, after 3 years, you just lose these people. It's hard. Now in times of social media, it's a lot easier. So. In Italy, I don't have any contacts anymore because I mean I was 5 years old. But to Syria, on social media we have contact now, and it's a good thing. And for example, my best friend in Syria, he moved to Germany now.
Oh, really?
So and without the social media, I wouldn't have known it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
and you got to learn languages as well. You learned Italian, I think, and Arabic as well. That's great. How fluent are you?
Well, so in Italy, I had to learn Italian, which was quite interesting for me because I mean I was a small child, and it was easy at the time because I don't know, smaller children, I don't know, they just soak in the language.
Yeah.
But now it's I don't know, more than 15 years ago, and I forgot the language. So
okay.
I bet if I go back to Italy, if I get into talking again, it would come back quickly. But for now, if you would ask me to speak Italian, I would just throw out some phrases and that's it. Okay. Same for Arabic. So we moved out of Syria in 2011. We learned Arabic for those 3 years, but now since it's 9 years since we moved out, the language, I'm out of practice, so to say. Yeah.
All right. And how was it like always when you moved back to Germany, so to speak? Did you feel a little bit like a foreigner or a little bit different from your, let's say, peers in Germany?
Yeah. The first thing is that in Germany, most people, they come from villages or cities, and they just stick to this place. So they stay there and they go to the first class and they finish their school there. Most of them just even study close to that place. Yeah. So they stick to their families and to their friends, and it stays the same. But for me, it's not the same. So I moved, and it was just not normal. Also the English language, so people who learn it in Germany, they learn it in school. Yeah. But for me, I learned it in an American school, but also in a British school.
Right.
In Syria, it was a British school, or with a British system, so to say. And in Italy, it was an American school. So I just experienced that this, for me, is a good thing. So because I I got to speak the languages. I became quite fluent in it. So that's the biggest difference, I would say.
Yeah.
Apart from that, the experiences, the impressions you get from these countries, that's also a big difference. But as I said, it's not normal growing up this way.
Exactly.
So you have to make new friends, and you do. But apart from that, some people I know in Germany, they have their best friends since they're 6 years old or something.
Exactly.
So, and for me, that's not possible.
Yeah, and especially when you're so young, it must be pretty hard, right?
Yeah, so my parents actually decided to take us all, so we're 4 kids, and they, if my mom would have stayed in Germany, we could have stayed there. But my parents said, this is not our idea, we wanted to stay as a family, so we moved everywhere together, and that's what I said before. My siblings, we have a good relation, probably also because we moved everywhere together.
Yeah.
So we experienced Italy together, we experienced Syria together, so yeah, we're quite close now.
Do you feel like the term third culture kid applies to you?
Yeah, that's quite hard. Yeah, so the way I see it is basically every culture I've lived in for 3 years has its influence.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go on any prejudices, but for Germans, it's, so to say, sometimes people are quite strict and straightforward and everything like that. And the Italian way of living is a little more flexible, I would say.
Yeah.
And for me, it was quite hard to find a balance, but for myself, I just kind of wanted to take the best parts of each. So in some situations, when you need the strictness, the directness, I take that. And in some other moments, if you just want to calm down and relax, I like to do it the Italian way, or also in Syria, the gathering and let's say collectivism, for example. So people gathering around in big families, that's also a big difference.
Yeah.
For us, 4 kids in Germany, it's a huge family.
It is.
It's not normal.
No.
And for us, especially like in Syria, the family gatherings, that's crazy. They have big families, and at the gatherings they all come together. And in Germany, you have this every now and then. But for us, this showed that this is a good thing, just to meet the family every now and then, and to have a good time together. So yeah, to get back to the question, yeah, I would say that I just basically have my influences from each culture. Yeah.
And are you planning on having a career in diplomacy, or do you want to do something completely different?
So my studies are international management studies, and I'm actually working in this big company, which also, we produce worldwide. And for now, my way just goes into the corporate world.
Okay.
But I've also learned not to focus on just one way. So I'm very open-minded now as to if I don't enjoy this way of going to the corporate world, I could apply in Germany for this diplomatic training, and also my studies, international management, it fits into this field.
Yeah.
So they also look for people with international experience and everything. So I could imagine, but for now I'm going into the corporate world.
Yeah. Do you want to stay in Germany, or are you you're already so used to moving from one country to the next that you want to live somewhere else?
Definitely. So yeah, I like Germany. I know we have many benefits in Germany. We have a great system and everything. But since I'm used to moving every 3 years, after Syria, we stayed in Germany for 7 or 8 years until my parents moved out. We all waited. We just couldn't wait anymore for the next leave. So we wanted to get more. And for example, my sister, she studies international relations, and she's so keen on moving out. So next step, she's going to Egypt. She doesn't want to stay in Germany. And for me, it's fine. So also in the corporate world, my company worldwide, I can imagine just moving out directly. So yeah.
So Matthias, I heard you're quite into sports. Is that correct?
That's true. So I'm not in any club or anything, but me for myself, I do a lot of sports. So I go swimming, I go to the gym sometimes, I go running, I go hiking. So I love just being active.
Yeah.
So even here in Pakistan, close to our house, there's a sports compound. So I just go for running there.
That's great. So what do you say if we go to this restaurant which is like sports themed? I don't think you've ever seen anything like that in Pakistan.
Not yet, but I'm looking forward.
Excellent. Let's do that.
Thank you.
Time to take a short break. See you in a bit. Welcome back. I'm here at Wild Wings with Matthias and we've just ordered some food. So, have you ever been to a place like this in Islamabad?
Not in Islamabad, not even in Germany.
Really?
I don't know. Even though it's a thing in Germany, sitting watching sports. In Germany, most people just watch soccer. I think
exactly.
That's quite a German thing to do, but it's interesting to see this over here.
Yeah, and here people mostly watch cricket. I don't think you know much about that, right?
I don't know anything about cricket, but I've seen some guys play it in the F9 park here in Islamabad. Yeah, so it looks interesting, and maybe one day I'll learn some more about it.
Maybe. So, what do you generally think about Islamabad as a city? Is there like enough stuff to do for someone your age?
There is. So I have to see two sides of this because, on the one side I spend a lot of time with my parents here, so they show us their side of Islamabad, but I also got to meet some people from my age and got to see their side of Islamabad, and both sides are quite interesting. My favorite part actually is the view from the Margala Hills over the city, so that's lovely. And in general, I would also say this is you can see that Islamabad is quite modern. So my expectations when coming here for the first time were that it's maybe a sandy city and maybe gray a little bit.
Yeah, and like the stereotypical view people have. Yeah,
exactly that. And the first time I was here, I was so surprised to see this beautiful green city. So that's very, very interesting for me, and I'm quite excited to see some more. So for now, I would say I've seen quite a lot in Islamabad. But I'm excited to see more.
Well, and so obviously your parents being diplomats, they go to a lot of like functions in the evenings and weekends. Do you ever go to those with them?
So I had the chance. So my parents, they invited me to join one of these functions, and suddenly I was in this field, and every evening we had a function, and that kept me quite busy. But it was also very interesting because at these functions you have all the international people from everywhere, plus the Pakistani people, and you just exchange about.
Have you gotten to know a lot of like Pakistanis your age here?
I would say not too many, but I've met some who then also invited me out for any free time activities. But it's not too many. So we had some who just invited me. Basically, we also had some dinner parties together, and some with my parents and without. And but it's quite interesting just to talk to people from different ages.
Exactly.
The people from my age who are, I see, quite also with a modern thinking. So many of them also, for example, studied in the UK or Canada or anything. And then you have the people from my parents' generation, as you said, maybe the elite or whatever. And you have a totally different perspective on that. But for me, it's quite interesting to see both sides of it.
Yeah, exactly. And where do you, what kind of a city or town do you come from in Germany? How does it compare to Islamabad?
You can't compare it at all because I was raised in a city called Bonn, but it's not even Bonn, which is the former capital of Germany. Basically, it's a small village close to Bonn. So our village, we have maybe 2,000 inhabitants, and it's small. It's very rural.
It's like a village, actually.
It is. It is a small village, and we even have more horses living there than people. So that's really crazy. But coming from that, we still get to know the city life. So we have Bonn and Cologne, which are bigger cities in Germany. And for me, the living on this land side of Germany was great. But now for people my age who go out on the weekends or whatever, this small village is too rural. So it's better to see, living in the city. It's also quite a good system.
Yeah. Okay. And you just actually spent your Christmas holidays here. Is that what you usually do as a family, that you spend them in whatever country your parents are in?
Basically, this was the first time spending it in Islamabad.
Okay.
So my parents came home the last 2 Christmases. And before that, living in Syria and Italy, because we were there as a family, we spent it there. But no, for Islamabad this year was the first time. Also New Year's Eve and everything. So that's quite interesting.
What did you do?
For Christmas, we always have a very traditional Christmas dinner, which is with a goose and some potatoes and red cabbage.
Cool.
And for the first day of Christmas, we have the green cabbage actually. So that's the food is one part, and then you also have the celebrations with Christmas presents for us kids, so to say. We still keep that up, but it's a different thing. So now we're slowly growing up, and we still keep this tradition.
Yeah. Okay. Did you go to any official Christmas parties here or anything like that?
We had some Christmas parties, or Christmas touched parties, I would say. Because especially in this international field with international people, most people want to take this tradition, or at least show it also a little bit, because apart from religion, it's a nice festivity for us.
Exactly. And quite a lot of Pakistanis are really into Christmas as well. You see them throwing Christmas parties and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. What about New Year's? How was that in Islamabad?
I don't know if this is basically just in our house, but we didn't see any fireworks.
Okay.
But, for example, back in Germany, people used to go crazy about fireworks. So they had a lot of fireworks, and every house had their own fireworks. So you see the whole sky. And I've heard that there were some people, they had their fireworks, but from our house, we couldn't see it.
You didn't see anything.
So
okay.
we just had some food and enjoyed the family time.
Okay, that's nice. Should we try some of this food? So you mentioned you've gotten to travel quite a bit here as well. Did you travel mostly on your own or with your parents and family?
Until now, every trip we did was with our parents.
Okay.
But anyhow, we still had the chance to visit the northern areas, for example.
Oh, wow.
So I visited Skardu and Gilgit-Baltistan, and also the Hunza Valley. So that area, that was beautiful. It was just stunning. And the other trip I did was also to Lahore, which was actually over Christmas this year. So this was my first time in Lahore, and we had the Wagah Border ceremony, and that was just an amazing experience.
Really? What was so interesting about it for you?
For me, it was so I know this from Germany, from maybe sports events, that you have big crowds cheering for a soccer club or whatever. Yeah. But now you have on the one side the Pakistani people, on the other side the Indian people, who cheer for their country, for their nation. And my favorite part about it was actually when they did the ceremony with the soldiers posing into the different directions, and they also shook hands. Yeah. And both crowds, they were the loudest in this moment. They were cheering for this, so I love this moment. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's really cool. And then when you know about the tensions between the two countries and also the common history, it's kind of surreal watching that moment, that the border is open and then they actually shake hands and then it's closed and then it's again okay. Exactly. Yeah, it's amazing. How did you find Lahore otherwise? Did you get to go to the old city there? And
yeah, so we visited the Badshah Mosque and the fort close to it, and it was very interesting, this cultural heritage, and you see these places with the old history, and it's beautiful and very interesting. Yeah. Obviously you have some pollution in the air, which is quite damaging for health, but apart from that,
And what would you say has been your favorite trip in Pakistan? What was your favorite place or area that you visited?
100% the northern areas.
Okay.
Because of the beautiful landscape. So in my childhood, I dreamt of going to Canada, and this is exactly how I imagine it. You know, you have the beautiful lakes, mountains, beautiful landscape. So that's great. And even so, we extended the trip for one day spontaneously, and the guys who organized the trip, they took us to Nalta Valley and to a ski resort there. So I even went skiing in that area.
No way.
Which is an absolutely crazy experience.
That's so cool.
Because you know, in German Europe we have the mountains. They go like, let's say, 3,000 meters high, and you have this here in Pakistan, this beautiful landscape with the highest mountains in the world in general. So that's amazing. Yeah.
Was there any kind of like, I don't know, like a skiing facility, or did you just basically have to walk all the way up? And
there was a skiing facility. They even gave us the ski, and they provided us the way up. So, yeah, great experience.
That would be amazing. Like, people could actually come to Pakistan for skiing.
I've heard that there are some plans on opening ski for the world in Pakistan. So
maybe your friends can come next time.
Yeah,
you can go
I'll
skiing
convince them.
instead of the Alps. Come to Pakistan.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. And you mentioned also earlier that you kind of sometimes feel like a little bit like a celebrity here. Like, people are so like excited to see foreigners in Pakistan.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, in Islamabad, it doesn't happen too often. But so for example, we went to a restaurant in the Margala Hills, and we were just sitting there with the family. We had our dinner, and we had this beautiful view over Islamabad. And then you could, in the background, you heard some four girls, and they started giggling a little bit, and you know, but they appeared quite shy. So they approached our table slowly, and we were wondering, because I mean, we were just sitting and having dinner.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then one of the girls, she was quite courageous, so she approached me and asked if they could take a picture with me. And I thought to myself, sure, why not? So we took, I thought it's just one picture, but in the end we took like 15 minutes taking pictures in front of the restaurant with the background of Islamabad, and it was a great experience. This is one of my most of my favorite experiences in Islamabad. Yeah, for sure. They were so nice, and we exchanged contacts on Instagram, for example. So
cool. And then you had something with your brother, some kind of a competition in Lahore as well, right?
Yeah, because in Lahore this happened a lot more often.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the first guy approached me, wanted to take a picture, and then my brothers and I, we made some jokes, who's going to be next and whatever. And
who's going to be more popular, right?
Exactly. Who's going to be more popular, and I think I won.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. No, but this is just, you know, for fun, and my brothers and I, we make stuff like this, and my sister, people were a little shy to approach her, but anyway.
So how much would you say you've gotten to learn about Pakistani culture specifically?
This question is quite hard because, for example, in my studies I learned quite a lot about cultures in general, and the basic idea is that you can never learn enough about a culture. And about Pakistani culture, I find quite interesting that you go and talk to one group of Pakistani people and they tell you this is our culture, and then you go to the next group of Pakistani people and they tell you this is our culture and this is totally different. Yeah. So that's what I see, that there are very many different cultures even within the country.
Exactly.
But apart from that, so I would say, you asked for percent, right? Yeah. Let's say roughly 40%. So I believe there's a lot more to learn.
A lot more to see, yeah. Have you, I mean, you're quite into music. You play the piano yourself, right?
Exactly.
Have you gotten the chance to go to any kawali concerts here or listen to some traditional Pakistani music?
I haven't seen a concert yet, but for some events we visited, they had some musicians playing there, which was quite interesting, and also the traditional music. So for me as a person, I'm quite open regarding music, and that's why I liked it. It's very, very interesting, and I don't know the names of the songs anyway, but it doesn't matter because it's still interesting to hear these songs, and there's one song I actually listened to, which is a Pakistani song, which is, I would say, rather pop music.
Yeah.
It's called Afreen or something.
Afreen.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
And I do listen to that song, but
Nice.
apart from that, we get to see these at some events and things.
But since you already know how to play one instrument, the piano, I thought maybe we could teach you how to play a traditional Pakistani instrument. What do you think?
Sure, why not?
All right,
I
have just the right guy for you. Just have to go find him.
Perfect.
All right?
Yeah.
Time to take a short break. I'll see you when we come back. Welcome back. I'm here with Matthias and we're about to learn how to play rabab. Assalamu alaikum. तो आप इस इंस्ट्रूमेंट के बारे में कुछ बता सकते हैं?
ये काबुल का इंस्ट्रूमेंट है। काबुल से स्टार्ट हुआ, वहाँ की बोर्न है, रुबाब इसको कहते हैं। और पख्तून पेशावर में भी ये बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ किया जाता है। स्ट्रिंग्स के इंस्ट्रूमेंट में मेरे लिहाज से सबसे इजी भी है और इसका यूज़ भी बहुत, इसका साउंड भी बहुत अच्छा है, जैसा कि आपने सुना है अभी।
So basically he was saying that this instrument is originally from Kabul, Afghanistan, and it's also played by the Pashtuns here, especially in Peshawar, and they also make them there, actually. And according to him, it's a very easy instrument to play, a string instrument, and it has a very attractive sound as well. We'll see if it's as easy as he claims, right? Do you want to try?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so let's see, okay. Have you ever played the guitar?
No.
Okay. So.
Now just play any chords? Okay.
Nice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's fun. Can I also play the top ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, it's getting really hot.
Cool.
Yay! Very nice. Okay, I'll try as well. Doesn't look that hard, but I mean, you sounded like almost like a professional, so I don't know what's gonna happen with this. I have no idea what I'm doing. Do you have anything similar in Germany, like a traditional instrument?
I think the piano and the violin are rather from our region. Yeah, many people play the guitar, but that's not too traditional. And
Yeah. This literally sounds nothing like what he just played, but okay. Thank you.
Very good.
Shukriya. Did you notice any similar instruments in Syria when you were there?
yeah, they had a very similar instrument to this one actually.
Oh yeah?
I wouldn't even recall the name anymore, but it looked similar, so I remember that. And the sound was quite similar. So also the style of music and the tones were quite similar. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I actually wanted to talk a little bit more about your time in Syria. That was 9 years ago, you said, when you moved there. Where did you live there?
We came back to Germany 9 years ago, and we moved there in 2008.
Okay.
So we stayed from 2008 to 2011, and we lived in a village close to Damascus, the capital.
Okay.
And my father was responsible for Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan.
Oh, wow.
So we got to see these places as well. And for us, it was basically, we went to school there. It was normal childhood.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, the school we went to was a Pakistani school.
Right? Okay.
I don't know. This is coincidence. It's just a
Was it
fun
like
thing.
a school with like Pakistani students there, or it was just like an international school, or?
It was called Pakistan International School of Damascus, so PISOD, and it was a British system, but I don't know, maybe it was financed by Pakistan or whatever, so it was a Pakistani school.
Okay,
Yeah.
how interesting. Did you make a lot of, I mean, you mentioned you still are in contact with some of your Syrian friends, but were most of your friends Syrian or internationals?
It's quite funny, so my class we were like 20 students,
Okay.
and we had 19 different nationalities.
Wow.
Yeah, so there were people from everywhere. Italy, Norway, Syria obviously, also Pakistani, we had Pakistani people there, and yeah, it was so international. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. And what was life like in Damascus, or that little village where you lived back then? Because now obviously it's been practically destroyed by the conflict, but what was it like back then? What was the city like?
Back then it was just a beautiful village. It was a quiet place, and you had like a 20 minutes drive to Damascus, into the city, which is a lively city. So there's a lot going on there. You have beautiful places there to visit, and lovely people. Hospitality is one thing which I see in Syria and in Pakistan. The people welcome you, not especially because you're German or whatever, but they just welcome everybody.
Yeah, it's part of the culture.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cultural thing, and we had that in Syria as well. And for us, it was a good childhood. I mean, we did some sports. We went to school. We met some friends. We had the chance to do some music. So it was a great childhood. And then in 2011, when the conflict, so to say, started, we had to move out a little bit earlier. So that was for us kids quite hard, because it was our childhood. For me, I was 14 when all this started, and it was just too hard for me to understand. You have your friends and everything, and just suddenly this conflict just pulls you out of this, and your whole life changes within 1 week. So we moved out within a week.
Wow, that must have been quite dramatic. And then, like, watching the conflict unfold from Europe, how did that affect you? Like, seeing all these horrible images and thinking like, wow, my friends are still there.
Yeah, so my friends in Germany, they try to understand, but if you're not in this situation, you won't understand. And so you watch this conflict only by media, and what the German media has shown us was obviously only the worst parts of the conflict, and you know your friends are there, and all the families and lives getting lost, and it's hard to understand. So nobody fully understood this conflict.
Yeah.
And if you have a personal relation to this just, it's quite hurtful. And for me as a 14-year-old, how could I understand? So it was quite a hard time, but we as a family, we united and we stood together, so that's how we got over it.
Yeah.
And luckily I met some of the people, some of my friends from Syria, I met them. So my best friend from Syria, he moved to Germany.
Oh, really? That's amazing. So then, is he living and working there now?
Yeah, exactly. So he does his training there, and now we meet up every now and then, so it's just perfect. Yeah.
And then, of course, there was this big influx of refugees, also mainly to Germany as well. And there was all this, conversation around, not always so nice, politically, about immigration and so on and so forth. How did that make you feel?
So the discussion was quite emotional. So not enough people just looked at the facts. So most people just argued emotionally. And at the time, when it was, I think, maybe 2 years after we moved out, or 3 years, when all this big discussion started, I had the personal relation, so I saw this from a totally different perspective, and obviously also emotional. That's for sure. But if you look at the facts, and some politicians who argue emotionally, this doesn't fit together.
Yeah.
So this is why the whole argumentation was just blown up and also quite hurtful and inhuman.
Yeah.
But anyhow, now we have some. We found our way, and I think in Europe in general, there are still some issues, but I think politicians and the institutions and everything, they're trying their best to just fit everything. So the ones from the European citizens, but also obviously the humanity of accepting refugees and integrating refugees.
Yeah. Do you ever dream of visiting Syria again?
I do, yeah, for sure. Because now I heard of some friends of mine who moved back or just also visited back. And I've seen some travel bloggers who also started visiting the country again. I can't comment on the safety because I haven't seen it in the last 9 years now. But as soon as there's a safe opportunity for me, I will try to go back. And I always just look what the Foreign Service in Germany says. And if they say it's fine to go, then I will go, for sure.
What were your favorite places in Syria that you got to visit?
There were 3 places I would just love to mention because they're cultural heritages and just beautiful places. So in the northern part of Syria, you have the Palmyra, which is, well, it's a cultural heritage, and it was bombed during the war and destroyed partially, so that's quite sad, but I would just love to see how it is now, what parts are left, and this same thing is about Crac de Chevalier, which is a castle style, but in the desert. So we visited it the last time we were there. It was so beautiful, and just imagining that this is from medieval times in the end. And the third place is the old city in Damascus, which is a beautiful place. So we had the Zouk, which is a marketplace, and you have these old stalls, and then you have the Umayyad Mosque, and you have like all the places we used to visit when we were kids. So because this is part of my childhood.
Exactly. And you mentioned that you got a little bit famous in Syria when you were young as well, right?
Yeah, so in Syria I had my first experience with TV.
Yeah, now it's your second in Pakistan.
Exactly. So in Syria we had school uniforms, which in Germany is not popular at all, but in Syria we had one. And the shop selling our uniforms, one guy who was like a brand manager or whatever, he approached me and said like, do you want to be the face of this brand? So I thought, why not give it a go? Okay, sure. So we had some shootings and made some videos. So I was basically on the TV commercial in Syria as well.
That's so funny. Do you have any of the footage left anywhere, or
it's on YouTube? Yeah.
Oh, is it?
It is.
I'm definitely going to look it up after this.
That's cool.
That's hilarious. Wow. And do you see any similarities between your experience in Syria and Pakistan?
Yeah, for the one thing, for sure, the culture is, the Syrian culture is closer to Pakistani culture than to the European, I would say. This is the first thing anybody would think about is hospitality. So
of course.
You can make friends basically with anyone because they're quite open to anything and just accept you and welcome you very warmly. And I think that's the most important part of all. So that's the biggest similarity.
Yeah, I mean, it's also changed quite a lot. And I think in the West, people don't really pick up on the fact that most of the problems that Pakistan faced have kind of gotten a lot better. It's improved a lot, right? Like, for example, you mentioned that your friends, you've been trying to convince them to come. Has this been like the main issue? They don't necessarily want to come? Security?
This is the main issue, and that's why my work in convincing them is not done yet, but I'm quite confident that it should work. It should work.
Where would you take them? To the north, and where else?
Yeah, if we get the chance to go to the northern areas again, that's the first step. And this Lahore Wagah Border ceremony, this is just a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's amazing. Yeah.
Is there anywhere that you still want to go in Pakistan that you haven't gotten the chance to see?
I want to visit Karachi. I didn't have the chance yet, but what I heard is that it's again a totally different part again in the southern part, and next to the ocean, the Arab Sea. So I'd love to see that. I hope I get the chance.
Yeah. And what about Pakistani food? I mean, it's quite different from German food, right? Do you like eating it?
I do, depending on the level of spice. So for a German, I would say I'm quite tolerant regarding spices, but there's a certain level. So if I reach this limit, you don't taste the food anymore, and that's too much. But there are some dishes we tried here, they offered us, which are very delicious. Yeah.
Did you get to try any street food in Lahore? That's quite a big thing there.
We drove through this food street.
Okay.
But we then went to a restaurant, so we didn't try the food there.
Okay, but you enjoyed the food in Lahore.
Yeah.
That's like one of the best places to have food in Pakistan, so that's amazing. But what's your favorite cuisine? Is it Syrian, German, Pakistani? What is it?
I'm open to any cuisine, but the Italian is for sure my favorite because, I don't know, pizza and pasta, especially self-made, so I cook myself sometimes and it's amazing. So Italian food, especially the pizza, that's the best.
Okay, so now it is time for our rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Shalwar kameez or jeans?
Here, shalwar kameez.
Okay. Not in Germany though. Maybe you could try it once though, see what people think.
I've tried it once, actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, but it was fine.
Yeah?
It's an interesting experience, yeah.
Aleppo or Islamabad?
Islamabad.
K2 or Zugspitze?
K2, for sure. No, that's true.
Lasagna or pasta?
Pasta.
Risotto or chicken biryani?
I have to go with Italy, risotto.
Okay. First thought that comes to your mind when I say Wagah Border?
Well, you know, the handshake. I think
the handshake. Great.
Yeah.
Dal.
The one I tried was very spicy.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Spicy. Skardu.
Lovely. Beautiful place, stunning. I'll be there for sure again. Yeah.
Margalla Hills.
Beautiful view over Islamabad, so also lovely.
Pakistani winters.
Outside it's fine.
Yeah.
During day. Inside it's too cold.
Yeah.
During night.
That's true. Pakistani music.
Very interesting. Very good.
Great. The best thing about Pakistan.
Hospitality, that's for sure.
Great. Okay, then it's time for you to sign our visitor's book. Here you go. Let's see what you wrote. Lovely interview. Thank you so much. Always feel so welcome here in Pakistan. Pakistan, Germany, Dosti Zindabad. Thank you so much. Had such a lovely time with you, and I hope you continue to visit Pakistan again.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's it for today. Please join me again next week, and don't forget to follow us on our social media handles at indus.news. Goodbye.